Every year, new cities are built from scratch around the world. However, they don't always find their inhabitants. Hundreds of new residential houses are empty, sitting in eternal expectation of their owners. One can find such newborn ghost towns in different parts of the world. We at FactFeed wondered why this happens, and look what we found. The most interesting thing we've prepared for you is at the end of the video. FactFeed presents Beautiful Cities No One Wants to Live in. Kangbashi, China. China is the world leader when it comes to the number of buildings under construction. New cities are built there every year, but despite the high population density, lots of them remain empty. One probable reason is the extremely high prices for real estate. Another theory says it's insurance in case of war. If the densely populated Chinese cities are attacked from the air, rebuilding them will cost a fortune. It's much cheaper and easier to settle the surviving population in new cities. The largest Chinese ghost city is located in the Ordos district, where a rich coal deposit was discovered. In the city of Kangbashi, there are thousands of houses as well as necessary infrastructure including an airport, parks, theaters, street sculptures, and a museum. Construction began in 2001, and there were supposed to be 1 million inhabitants. However, only 2% of the planned population currently lives there. Sirueña, Spain. In the early 2000s, Sirueña was a small village in the north of Spain, but a few years later, a whole city was designed for 10,000 people, and it was built on its outskirts in record time. More than 100 cottages and multi-apartment buildings were constructed there with restaurants, stores, swimming pools, and even a golf club. Yet 2008 brought a global financial crisis which prevented the city's settlement. Now the city has slightly more than 100 citizens, but all the necessary infrastructure functions properly. Nevertheless, the city never becomes truly empty, because here lies the path of the pilgrims to the Spanish city of Santiago de Compostela. Tomstown, China. Another Chinese ghost town, Tomstown, is a small copy of London. It occupies only 1 square kilometer and was meant for 10,000 inhabitants. It has its own River Thames, Victorian houses, a Gothic church, red telephone booths, and statues of Harry Potter and James Bond. The budget for the city's construction was about 800 million. The pseudo-European town failed to become settled due to the financial crisis of 2008, which showed that the wealthy Chinese population the town was designed for was practically absent. Very few people could afford to live in Chinese London, so the city remains a ghost town. Now Tomstown, along with Tiandusheng, is only large-scale wedding scenery. Masdar City, UAE. Masdar City is an eco-city that's being built 17 kilometers away from Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. The project is estimated at $22 billion. It's based on the principle of responsibility, which means a sustainable environment in the city. This will be achieved by providing energy from renewable resources, minimizing carbon dioxide emissions to the atmosphere, and a complete city waste recycling system. The city is meant for 50,000 inhabitants, but only 300 people live there now. Most of them are students from the Masdar Institute of Science and Technology. Cars are prohibited there and only 1 store is open. One needs to go to other cities for the majority of goods. Despite the fact that the project is almost finished, the city is still empty. One of the reasons that prevented the settlement was economic crisis. In addition, a population that's accustomed to living in luxury may not be ready to live on the principle of responsibility that lies at the core of Masdar City. Colombo Angola. The city of Colombo was built by a Chinese investment corporation 30 kilometers away from Luanda, the capital of Angola. It was the embodiment of the pre-election promises of President José Eduardo dos Santos, who guaranteed the construction of a huge amount of buildings in the shortest time possible. The construction of Colombo was finished in 2012. There were 750 multi-story apartment buildings to house 500,000 people, more than 100 shopping spaces, and dozens of schools. The total cost of construction is estimated at $3.5 billion. However, despite all efforts, the city's population is about 1,000 people. It turned out that the country almost didn't have a middle class. The majority of the population is below the poverty threshold, living with $2 a day. Therefore, they cannot afford to buy an apartment even with the help of a mortgage. Kijong-dong, North Korea. The North Korean village of kijong-dong is located next to a demilitarized zone and is the only settlement that can be seen from South Korea. The village was built in the 1950s with the aim of promoting a high standard of living that awaits all Southerners crossing the border. Despite the official version that there are over 200 ordinary families living in the village, one can see with the help of modern optics that the houses are empty boxes without rooms. The lights are always turned on in the same parts of the buildings and at the same time. Sometimes one can notice soldiers as well as women washing windows, the same people as 15 years ago. Until 2004, the village had working loudspeakers with propaganda texts directed toward the south. Having realized the uselessness of such shows, North Korea began to broadcast military marches for 20 hours a day at full volume. South Korea has responded with roaring speakers, playing local rock music. When the noise became unbearable, the radios on both sides were turned off forever. Ololai, Italy. On the Mediterranean island of Sardinia, the old village of Ololai is at risk of turning into a ghost town. Over the past half-century, the town's population has declined from 2,250 people to just 1,300, and now there are hundreds of abandoned homes. In an effort to lure in new residents, Ololai's government is selling 200 of these homes for just $1.25 each. According to CNN, the village has already sold 3 houses, and more than 100 people from across the world have expressed interest. The village's mayor, Eficio Arbao, says the goal is to preserve Ololai's culture. This isn't the first time an Italian town has offered homes for so little. The Sicilian town of Ganji started selling vacant homes for $1 in 2015. Ganji and Ololai share the same condition. Owners needed to present plans for renovation within the first year and fix up their houses within 3.